Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA veteran Marcus Sursa. Marcus, how are you?
Money. Good, Mike. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Marcus, you recently picked up a win back on November 21st. You defeated UFC veteran Thiago Silva by second round TKO. How pleased were you with your performance in the fight?
Man, tough question. I felt like I could have done some things better, but I feel like I persevered through some heavy moments and put the pressure on him like I was expecting, and finished the night. That was the whole goal, not leave it up to the judges, to end it.
What was the game plan going into the fight, and how well do you think you executed it?
Game plan coming into the fight was to not let him push me back. He gets power from pushing people around the cage and starting to kind of bully people around. And game plan was to, set presence, right in the center of the cage, take the middle of the cage, and, keep his back up against the cage and really press him around the cage and not let him bully me around the cage. That was really the main objective in the fight. And then, we worked on a lot of setups to, we knew how he defended. Likes to do the shell defense a lot, so we were trying to use some setups to get him to shell up, and then hit him with a big shot, and then kind of put him, finish it up after the big shot. Hit him and hurt him, and then hurt him and finish him.
Going into the fight, did you think you were going to be able to finish him the way in which you did finish him? Did you picture a finish going into this fight? Did you see the fight ending sooner than it did? Did you see the fight ending later than it did? Going into the fight, did you think the result that happened was going to happen when you were envisioning this fight?
Man, Mike, to be honest, we had game plan A. Game plan A didn't go through. We had game plan B. Game plan B didn't go through. We had game plan C. And if game plan C didn't go through, we had game plan crazy. So, of course I saw a finish. Of course I saw, unanimous decision. Of course, I don't go into my fights ever thinking I'm going to lose or ever expecting to lose. I always go in with 100% confidence and always go in to win and go for the finish. I don't ever like to leave it up to the judges, man.
Do you consider this fight the biggest win of your mixed martial arts career?
I don't know. It's a huge name. It is one of the biggest wins I've had. But I fought a lot of monsters and tough. The jungle fights in Brazil was a huge win. My title against Ryan for King of Combat was a huge win. My title against Joey Yeager in the fifth round knockout, through a lot to be in that fight was a huge win. I just think this was a little bit more of a bigger name, so it brought more of attention to the win. But I've had huge fights in my career. It was a huge win, but it matches with the top biggest wins in my career for sure.
When this fight was announced, a lot of people, the experts, yes, I'm doing air quotes, the experts in this MMA industry, a lot of people thought that, okay, Thiago Silva, he's dropping down from World Series of Fighting. He's still under contract with World Series of Fighting, but he's going back down to a regional show. He's fighting this Marcus Sursa guy. He's probably going to knock him out, and then he's going to go back to World Series of Fighting with a win. And then, since he's on this win, World Series of Fighting will be able to promote him better because the last time he fought in World Series of Fighting was a loss against Teddy Holder. So a lot of people, the experts in this business, and a lot of fans, thought that you would lose this fight. So I'm just curious, what did you know going into this fight that the experts didn't know?
What I do know is that you look at my record and you see who I fought and you see what I've accomplished in my career. And I'm not a joke to anybody or any fighter that sees my career and sees my record, sees who I fought, see how I finish my fights. they better not be overlooking me, because if you do, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get put out.
What's more satisfying to you? Is it proving the people who doubt you wrong, or is it proving the people who support you right? You know, a lot of people going into this fight, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people before this fight took place and when the fight was announced, a lot of people thought that Thiago Silva was just going to walk right through you. A lot of people thought it was going to be an easy night for him, and obviously you proved them wrong. So there's a lot of people who thought you would lose, but on the flip side of that, there's a lot of people who thought that you would win this fight, and there's a lot of people who support you and believe in you. So what gives you more satisfaction? Is it proving the people that doubt you wrong, or is it proving the people who support you and believe in you right?
I've always said this throughout my career. It doesn't matter if people talk bad about me. It doesn't matter if people talk good about me. The thing that really matters is that they're talking. And the thing that matters to me is I put food on my kids' table, and I do right by not giving up and not surrendering for my name, the Sursa name. I want that to go to the history books as a warrior, and I want my son to look up to see his name, and I want him to be proud of it. That's what matters to me.
You said going into this fight you had multiple game plans. You had an A, B, and C, or crazy game plan going into this fight. You broke him down with your camp, and you seem to know him very well. Obviously, you followed his career. He was a 12-time UFC fighter. He's been around for a long time in this industry, so you know him. But going into the fight, how much do you think he knew about you?
Well, I've always looked up to Thiago Silva. He's always been one of my favorite fighters to watch, and watching him run through the opponents after opponents, and the way he used to put people away was very exciting. I feel like we have kind of the same style of stand-up. We have the same style of finishes, and I honestly think he didn't know too much about me. I honestly think he looked past me, and he looked like, I'm going to knock this dude out and move on to the next fight. I asked the promoter, what is Thiago saying? What is he thinking? He said, he already asked about his next opponent. He's already got you beat. So I knew right there going into the fight, I had to step up on him,
Have you been paying any attention to the media since this fight happened?
Oh, yeah. I look into it. Some of it's upsetting. They say, look at this nobody, won 3 world championships, and, I'm a nobody, and I've been fighting since 1999, been in the sport my whole entire life. I've fought 8 to 10 UFC veterans. I've fought all over the world, and still kind of an unrecognized nobody, you know what I mean? So, it is a little upsetting, but it's also motivating. It took me 16 years to get to this point in my career. There's a reason that God put me through all this. There's a reason that I've made this path. There's a reason that I've trained in all the gyms that I've trained in and met these connections and done these things to get to this point in my career. And you know what? I feel like if I would have made it after I fought Alan Belcher went to the UFC. Alan Belcher's not in the UFC anymore. I fought Elliot Marshall for the title. Elliot Marshall went to the UFC. Elliot Marshall's not in the UFC anymore. I fought went to the UFC. So, I think maybe if I would have made it to the UFC earlier, maybe I wouldn't have been there and still be there now and be able to be blessed to do the things I'm doing now and be the person I am today. And I really feel like I wouldn't have recognized or been able to accept the blessing when I had it. So I feel like everything has happened for a reason. I'm here where I'm at in this position for a reason, and these big opportunities that are fixing to happen for me, I really feel like I can be 100% ready for them,
Going into this fight, Kenny Nolan, the Gladiator president, the president of the organization you fought Thiago Silva in, he said this fight was, and I quote, he said, "This is like a real-life Rocky Balboa story. This kid is as hungry as a lion who hasn't eaten in a year. He's extremely heavy-handed and has knockout power. This is the biggest opportunity of his life, and he's going to come 110%. Was this kind of a Rocky Balboa story, the lead up to this fight and the result that happened? You know, a lot of people, you were the underdog in their eyes against Thiago Silva, and you were able to pull through and stop him and have this very impressive performance against the tough UFC, a well-seasoned, tough UFC veteran. So was this like a Rocky Balboa moment for you? Was this your coming out party in MMA?
Yeah, Mike, I think so. You know, it was really a funny situation. Had a little bit of trouble at the gym. I got kicked out of my gym 2 weeks before this fight. Lost all my corners that were supposed to go down there with me to this fight. Then I had some troubles with my son's mom. She's being kind of a mess. She wouldn't let me see my son. I haven't seen my son for over a month and a half. So, you know, now I'm filing papers and going through this court system trying to get, you know, the rights to see my son and take her to court. And then my best friend's in Thailand, and he gets on, something happens to him. He's on his deathbed the week of the fight. He's maybe fixing to die. A week and a half before the fight, my lady that I grew up with is basically like my second mom. She passed away. I mean, it was just like, what else could go on? You know what I mean? They try to keep everything together, work through the injuries, work through the struggle, work through getting kicked out of the gym, losing my coach, losing the areas. It was funny how everything came around, but I still had to stay on my eyes on the prize, you know. So yeah, it was really like a Rocky movie, to be honest.
Tell me about after the fight ended and you ran into the audience. You jumped over the cage and you ran into the audience, and I couldn't see because the angle of the camera that I watched your fight on, it was filmed from the crowd, so I couldn't see there were like people in the way of the camera, so I didn't know exactly where you were running to. But tell me what was going on in your mind when that moment's happening, the emotions you were feeling, and where did you run, and who were you celebrating with in the crowd?
Well, I had a couple of emotions, man. I didn't just, after the referee stopped it, I didn't know what to do. I just went. It was like 1,000,000 pounds just like lifted off my chest, man. It was a wild feeling. I remember Jose Aldo, whenever he knocked out the one cat and then jumps into the crowd, runs all the way up to the top of the bleachers, you know. And while I was, and my mom and dad were in the crowd. They drove all the way down to come watch me fight Thiago that night. So, you know, I jumped out to go see them, and I did want to run up into the crowd and go to the top of the stands and chant USA, man. But I jumped out in the crowd, got to the side, and there was a big wall barrier where I couldn't go up into the stands. So I got to the wall, then I turned around and, you know, gave my dad and my mom a big, huge hug, and you know, then the security and everybody made me get back into the ring.
Right. We know how you celebrated in the moments after the fight, but maybe let's go a little bit deeper. An hour, 2 hours later, how did you celebrate the win?
The owners of the company took us out to a dinner and paid for our dinner and told us how much they appreciated us and treated us like kings. And Bobby Don and Kenny Nolan, two class acts, two owners that, you know, it's the first time that I've ever called a promoter after the fight was over the next day, and they answered the phone, and Bobby Don stayed in contact with me every day to see how I'm doing and see how the cut's healing. And I tell you what, that's you know, that's something you don't see a lot in MMA, is owners that really care about the fighters and really want to know how they are, and not just concerned about the show and how their show did. They took a big loss because the weather, it snowed the day of the fight. You know, people didn't come out and represent like they'd expected, and they lost a little bit over $100,000. And, you know, to see that they still cared about us, and they weren't really worried about how much money they were making. They were worried about how we were doing and how we felt really meant the world to, you know, not only me, but I think the other fighters as well.
What's next for you? Are you going to sit back and relax and rest the body, or are you going to go right back to the grind, go back right to the gym and start preparing for whenever your number is called next? Right now, what are you doing? And from here and beyond, what are you planning on doing next? What's your next move going to be?
Oh, I'm going to let electrician by day, man, so I went back to work on Monday and worked a full 8-hour shift. Went to work this morning, woke up at 5:15, at work at 6 in the morning, just got off work. I got a buddy, Jacquees Williams, that's fighting in the MFC show in Des Moines, Iowa. We're on the road. I'm going to go corner him tonight and watch him win this 185-pound middleweight championship title fight tonight. Celebrate with him. And I've been getting messages from the UFC and messages from the World Series of Fighting, and they excited about the future for me. And I can't disclose any contracts or anything that's been talked about right now, but I think everybody knows that the Ultimate Fighter's coming up December 14th for the 205-pounders, and I think I can see myself in the mix of that and taking home that six-figure contract for sure.
Marcus, we'll end on this. It's a little segment I like to call Really Random. That's where I ask you a random question and you give me the real answer. Some of these questions are custom made just for you, and some of these questions are generic ones that I ask all the people I interview. So here's the first question. Superpower you'd love to have?
Superpower I'd love to have? Printing money.
Favorite movie?
Rudy.
Movie you've seen the most times?
Rudy.
Favorite color?
Green. Money.
Favorite guilty pleasure?
What's her name? That ring girl. Ariane
Celeste. That's great. That's funny. I like it. What exactly happened with Bellator? Because obviously in the past you fought for Bellator, you fought against Eddie Sanchez at Bellator 20. It was a very long time ago. You fought him in the pre-Viacom owned Bellator. You fought him when Bjorn Rebney was still the main man. So it's been a very long time since you fought for Bellator. That fight was back in 2010. And since then, you haven't fought for Bellator. You had a fight scheduled for Bellator 123 against King Mo. You had to withdraw from that fight because of an injury. And since then, you haven't fought for Bellator. King Mo, they never decided to put that fight back together. He's fought a bunch of different guys. He's fought at light heavyweight. He's fought at heavyweight. For whatever reason, they haven't put that fight back together. Then after the King Mo fight doesn't take place, all of a sudden, you're fighting against Kelvin Tiller in Shamrock FC, fighting for a Bellator contract, and I thought you already had a contract with Bellator, so I was very confused about this whole situation. 1 minute, you're in Bellator, getting a big fight against King Mo, you suffer an injury, then you're back out on the regional circuit fighting to get a contract you once had, so I'm very confused about this whole situation. So, what's the deal with Bellator?
Man, Mike, I'm on the same page with you on that. They had granted me another fight because I took the fight with Eddie Sanchez as a catchweight. It was like a heavyweight touted bout. And they told me after the fight, hey, we loved your fight, we loved your charisma, we loved everything about you. You put on a hell of a show. You went in, you knocked the guy out. We see that you got power. We'd love to see what you can do at 205. Signed everything, had more fights coming. Then Bjorn never called my manager, never got back with me, never set up anything. Then he left the promotion. The thing with King Mo that happened, me and Ian, I went down to Colorado for a training camp for that fight, and I was sparring with Ian, and it's a new upcoming kid fighting out of Colorado, real tough kid. We both threw low kicks at the same time, and I popped my knee out, and my knee was just jacked up. I knew going in there with King Mo and not being able to move and get, being athletic, it was going to be a bad matchup against them, so I decided against going in there and taking the fight, which they even said then, they were like, we still want you to fight, and we want you to be in here and get in the show. And I don't know, man. I got an offer from Shamrock to go fight, and I was just tired of waiting around, been sitting on the sidelines for months after months and working. I'll tell you what, when you're sitting at the job and you're working, doing the daily grind, it's a lot easier. I'd rather be in a cage. That's where I belong, I feel. So I ended up taking the opportunity with Shamrock FC and fought Kelvin Tiller. And I'll tell you what, about that fight, too, is a bunch of garbage. Is Kelvin Tiller came in 8 pounds heavy for that fight. Then never proved his weight, what he weighed. A bunch of garbage on saying he went in for 30 minutes, come back and had lost like 4 or 5 pounds, which is impossible. And so, I mean, he was still way overweight coming into that fight. But not to take anything away from Kelvin, because Kelvin is a great athlete and he's a great fighter. He had a good game plan against me that night. And I'll tell you what, if I could get my way, I'd like to rematch that guy back in World Series of Fighting, or get a rematch with him and him actually make the 205-pound weight class and see what we can do about, getting that back together again somehow.
Right now in MMA, I would like to see you fight anyone who's on the same level as Thiago Silva or a step above or 2 steps above Thiago Silva, I think, because you stopped him in that fight. You've earned the right to be fighting guys who are on that level. You've proven that you can beat those guys, so I think in MMA, you should be fighting those guys. Now, in kickboxing, should you return to kickboxing, if you have plans to return to kickboxing, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but should you return to kickboxing, I would love to see you fight in glory against Dustin Jacoby. I think that'd be a great fight. And then against Randy Blake. You guys fought once before. I'd like to see a rematch between you and Randy Blake, but this time under the Glory banner. Regardless of what sport we're talking about, who would you like to fight next?
I would love a rematch against Randy Blake, but I was kind of robbed in the decision against him. I fought him in his hometown, knocked him down in the second round. Yeah, I really thought I got robbed against that fight with Randy. And I'd really like to get a rematch with him for sure. And me and Dustin Jacoby, me and him are pretty good buds, man. I went down there and trained with him over at the training center in Colorado, X Factory, the Factory X Gym. Yes, I'll tell you what, that guy is a warrior. That if I did get a match up against him, that would be fight of the night, 100%. He's definitely a tough guy, man. But yeah, I lived down there with the president and owner of Glory, Core Hammers. He was my coach and my roommate. I lived with him in Holland, in Breda. Trained down there with Jim Deckers and those guys, and that was probably the coolest experience in my whole fighting career. I lived with him and Heath Herring, the Texas Crazy Horse, when he was getting ready to fight Nogueira at the Pride. So yeah, I mean, I would love to return back to kickboxing at some point. Just whenever the opportunity arises, that would be amazing.
Did you watch the Legacy Kickboxing Light Heavyweight Tournament, a tournament that you were supposed to be a part of? Did you watch that?
Yes, I did, man. I did watch that tournament. It was kind of... I didn't really have any words to say about it. It wasn't really that kind of a lackluster show, to be honest. But
was it tough for you to watch, considering you were supposed to be?
Yeah, I was terrible. I was kicking my butt the whole time watching it, going, man, if the stars would have lined up in the right way for that one, that would have been a big opportunity, I think, for me.
What sport do you like better? As a fan, as a competitor, regardless of how you look at it, what sport do you like better, MMA or kickboxing?
I like MMA better because you have more weapons, against your opponent. Kickboxing's it's kind of tailored for more of a point-style fighter because you can't really clinch, you can't really use your elbows, your knees. You can knee, but you can't pull them into the knee. Like the strike that I hit Thiago Silva with would be illegal in kickboxing in the Glory rules. So for me, I'm more of a freestyle fighter. I like I like using all my 9 weapons, you know. So for me, I love MMA, but I do kickboxing because it's a challenge, you know. I love challenges. So, I mean, I love both of them, but if I had to choose, I'd choose MMA.
Celebrity crush. I think I know who this is going to be, but I'll ask anyways.
Ooh, Ariane Celeste.
Celebrity people say you look like.
The dude off of the motorcycle series. I can't think of his name. That's what they were saying at the Gladiator show. I say I look just like this guy, but I can't think of his name.
Is it from Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. I don't know his name.
That's what the lady at the show was telling me. She looked just like him.
Okay. Go-to song when you're singing in the shower.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Probably OJ's Money, Money, Money.
Favorite social media platform.
Facebook.
Website you visit most often.
Facebook.
Piece of technology you can't live without.
GoPro.
If you could trade places with one person for a week, who would you trade places with?
Probably Muhammad Ali, just to see how he lived and it just. Well, I'd say probably Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano.
Okay.
Because he was just the toughest man to ever walk the streets in any city, man.
Do you have any pre-fight rituals or superstitions?
No. We all get together and, say a prayer. Pre-fight ritual, I like to throw $101 bills out into the crowd as I walk down into the ring.
Is this real money or is this like Monopoly money?
Not real money. I had found these chocolate coins that have like a quarter, 50-cent piece, and so I had these gold coins that were chocolate because I knew there was going to be a lot of kids and stuff at the show. So I threw out 100 ones and a bunch of chocolate money coins, and but I'll tell you, it was a riot down in the crowd.
Who gave you the nickname Money?
Jimmy Cornbread Mills in Mississippi. He's the one that gave me the nickname Money. And I had this nickname before Floyd Pretty Boy Mayweather had taken my nickname, because I went down to Mississippi to do a camp while I was still living in Las Vegas. And one kick Nick had given me the nickname White Lightning. So I was Marcus White Lightning Sursa for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I get down to Mississippi and Jimmy's like, man, this is a terrible nickname. You're going to win a fight and then be at the after-fight party. White Lightning's here. He's gone. You didn't see him. And he's making fun of me about it and stuff. I was like, well, if it's so dumb, then what? Give me a different nickname then. What would you call me? He goes, Marcus, you're so money, you don't even know it. And I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. I was like, Marcus ends with an S, then the money sign, and then my last name starts with an S. We could have like the 3 money signs, and that'd be the money shot, like Marcus Money Sursa. I was like, that's it. I'm going to go with it. So then I went with it. But as I'm in Vegas and I'm getting my shorts made, Shane Johnson was my designer for all my fight wear. And so Shane Johnson's little shop is in Chinatown right next to Floyd Mayweather's boxing gym. So one day we were doing my shorts and everything, and Shane was all excited about the shorts, how they looked, and he wanted to get some more people underneath them, So he goes over to Floyd's gym, and he knows Floyd. He's been friends with him for a while and everything. And he's like, Floyd, look at these shorts, man. They're so money. And he shows Floyd the shorts and everything. Then a couple months later, Floyd comes out with Floyd Money Mayweather. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. So I got to change the nickname, man. I can't be. He's got way more money than I do. I can't be copying it now. Now he's got my nickname, so I should have copyrighted it is what I should have done. And so I was hurting everybody in the gym. And they were like, man, you got to change your nickname, not just be Hurtcha. Marcus Hurtcha Sursa. So I did that for a couple of years. I was Hurtcha. And, man, I just missed the money. You know, I mean, the money just really made a connection with me, man. So I said, man, you know what? We're just going to do it together. I'm going to be Marcus Hurtcha Money Sursa. So then we combined it together. That's how it happened.
Outside of fighting, what are your hobbies?
Coaching. I like to coach. My son, Ryan Sursa, he's 2 years old. He can already do some perfect combinations. He can do an arm bar, rear naked choke. He can side mount, full mount, north south. He's so talented. He's gonna be famous, man. I like to spend time with my family, my friends. I don't really like to go out a lot. You know, I work hard. Like to be at home with my family is really what I love to do.
What's your porn star name? If you combine
Money Shot.
No, hold on. Let me give you the formula.
All right.
If you combine your childhood pet with the street you grew up on, what would your porn name be?
Rocky Riker.
Now let's say you were a rapper and you had to combine your favorite cartoon character with your nickname. What would your rapper name be?
Oh, man. My favorite cartoon character, Curious Money.
I like that. Somebody might steal that. You got to copyright it or trademark it or something.
We should, Mike. We got to get on that.
Yeah, Curious Money. I like it. Favorite band or solo artist?
I like Pantera. Yeah, probably Pantera.
If you could stay one age forever, how old would you stay?
Whew. Man, 21 was a pretty rough year for me. But, man, I feel like I'm coming into my prime right now. I'd probably say 33.
I saw on your Facebook profile with like a little info section under your profile picture, it says, I'm good at two things, fighting and other things. What are these other things?
I like giving people their imagination to use for that one. I'm good at a lot of other things, Mike.
I think I know where you're going with this, but I had to ask. Maybe you would have given me. But I like this. I like this mystery. So let's go no further. Let's say your fighting career was over today. Would you be satisfied with your career?
I've traveled the world 2 times, getting to do what I love to do. I've met some of the coolest people on the face of the planet. I've got to go to other countries, beat their men up, party with their people, get paid money for it. It was a blessing every single city and every single fight. I would be definitely satisfied with my life, but I want to do something great for my son and my daughter, and I want to leave them something when I'm gone. So I'm definitely not done yet.
You've won championships in the past. Do you have a favorite title belt?
Yeah, the XFL title is probably my favorite. The win over Joey Yeager was a pretty nasty knockout.
What's your pet peeve?
Pet peeve is dirty dishes in the sink.
Time period you'd like to go back and visit, and why?
I'd like to go back and visit when my grandmother and my grandfather was here. Being with them was some of the most funnest and memorable times of my life.
I'll ask the question anyways, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what you're going to say considering who you are, but what would you rather be known as? The best fighter in the world or the highest paid fighter in the world?
Highest paid fighter in the world. Money?
What's the best thing that ever happened to you?
My son and daughter.
What's the worst thing that ever happened to you?
My ex-girlfriend.
Person you look up to the most?
My dad, Chris Sursa.
Let's say you found a magic lamp, and you rubbed that magic lamp, and a genie appeared, and the genie said he was going to grant you 3 wishes. What would those 3 wishes be?
Would be to, probably to be able to tell the future, would be able to find huge amounts of gold, and it would be to be the best fighter in the history of the world.
What do you worry about? What's something that keeps you up at night?
If my son is okay.
Best advice you're ever given through life, and best advice you're ever given through fighting, and who gave it to you?
Best advice ever given to me for fighting would be from Ramon Deckers. He said, if you want to do something with your life, always do it 100%. The worst advice I ever got was from Philip Priest back in my hometown, and he told me to take some stupid fights I shouldn't have took. For best advice for everyday life, that'd be from my grandmother, Patricia Vitale. She told me, she said, if you're not making money in bed, get the hell out of bed.
Number 1 thing on your bucket list?
I'd like to go to Rome and see the Colosseum.
What's your hidden talent?
Oh, hidden talent. Well, I have to keep that one behind closed doors.
Is this something that falls under other things you're good at?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's right.
All right. I understand where you're going. I'm picking up what you're dropping. Okay. Last question. If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change and why?
I would change the kids. I think if you want to change the world, you have to start with the kids. And they're going to be our future. They're going to be our hope to making this country where we want it to be in, and in the direction where we want it to go. And, I really have a cool foundation for childhood cancer awareness and for the cure. And, I really would like to see these kids not get cancer at such a young age. Really like to see these kids that are so young to start having a dream and to have goals. The Kids Foundation that I have, it's for UNMC Nebraska Medical Center here in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's for kids that have childhood cancer. And my foundation is for childhood cancer awareness and for the cure. Every one of my T-shirts that I sold, there's going to be a percentage of the proceeds that goes to this foundation to help them with daycares, to help them with toys, to help them with everything that could possibly make these kids more comfortable when they go in for these treatments. And, these kids are scared. These 4 or 5-year-old kids, it breaks your heart, man. I work at the place. I'm an electrician there, and it's just heart-wrenching to see these kids walk with these monitors, losing their hair, their parents having to be so strong for walking with them, and to see that these kids are, getting cancer at such a young age is just terrifying, man. I really believe the fact that one kid could change the world, and if we're not paying attention and trying to, help these kids and get these kids ready for that opportunity, we might miss out on one of them that really could make a difference in this world.
Marcus, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yes, sir. I would like to give them this website. If you would like to help donate or you'd like to buy a T-shirt for my fight with Thiago Silva, every one of these T-shirts are going to go for a donation. Every percent of the donation is going to that foundation for the kids. And the website is teamsursa.itemorder.com. So that's Team Sursa, TEAMSURSA .itemorder, ITEMORDER.com. MUHAMMEDDER.com. And if you could go on there, you can select your size. There's a donation button that you can donate money. If you don't want to purchase a T-shirt, you can still donate money to these kids. And I really think if we want to change the world, we have to start with our children, and that's where we have to start. And I want to give a big thanks to my mom and dad for always teaching me right from wrong and being there for me through every single thing that I've done in my career, in my life. I want to give a shout out to Asian Armory, Soldier Sports, Timry, the cut master, the best cut lady in the business. Without her, I wouldn't have been able to finish that first round and get into the second round without bleeding, and she stopped the cut and allowed me to get this victory, which has given me so much press and so much attention to get this foundation and these things out to everyone. I would like to thank all my coaches and my teammates, and I'd like to thank all my fans, all the money fans in the world. Could not do this. Everything that you guys do, all the messages, all the comments, everything that you guys have done and said, just it's beyond words that I can express how much it means to me and how much I care for you guys. It's just amazing to see how life can change overnight.
Marcus, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.